Namaste Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gaurvani Pracharine Nirvisheshunyavadi Paschattadeshtarane Panchagalvadaru Vishakripa Sindhubhya Vachapatitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Welcome all. Today we are
Recording
discussing
in progress.
the unsustainable spirituality based on the teachings of Bhagavad Gita. In the Bhagavad Gita, when we study, Krishna begins with life, unlike Lord Buddha. Buddha's teachings are in regards to concluding of life, nirvana. And Krishna's teaching is about Purushartha, Sakriyata. How do we know? Because Arjuna was about to get into the mode of nirvana. Krishna will not fight. The background of Bhagavad Gita, if you study from the historical perspective and the philosophical perspective, what do? They bring this same, the historical perspective simply brings us closer to the philosophical perspective of life. Again, in the Bhagavad Gita, 3rd chapter, Krishna explains to Arjuna very clearly, Nahi kashit kshanamapi jatu tishtat akarmakrut. Karyate hi avashah sarva prakritir jayar guner. He is explaining to Arjuna, now how can someone define
Prabhuji, you are muted.
Thank you. So, are you able to hear? So, Krishna explains in the Bhagavad Gita, Nahi kashit kshanamapi. Now, this is not related to somebody who is advanced in spirituality, somebody is not advanced in spirituality. This rule is applicable to everyone who has taken birth in this world. There is no categorization about your level of advancement. What does it mean? That even for a moment, one cannot not function or not act. Right? And Krishna is rhetorically asking, Nigram kim karishyasi? Arjuna, how can regression accomplish? So Bhagavad Gita is driven for life, not driving life away from our existence. That is the background. So therefore, the 3 major points in the Bhagavad Gita. I remember one great teacher, he asked this question that we will come, that fish is always swimming in the water. Right? We can see fish is swimming in the water, but that very fish is taken out of the water and placed in the milk. Milk is basically a higher form of liquid. It is water only, watery only, but higher form of liquid. But for our information, that fish which was seamlessly flowing into the water will not survive in the milk. The point is, milk is like a Paramahamsa stage. But ordinary people, when they try to artificially do something, it does not sustain their life, what to speak of their spirituality. Right? So therefore, there are 3 core substantial principles of Bhagavad Gita. which focuses on life being active. Right? The first principle is that having trust in life, जीवन के प्रति श्रद्धा. Unfortunately, we have lack of faith in life. We undermine life. We devalue life. When we devalue life and undermine life, and how do we undermine life? We undermine life based upon our experience of life rather than seeing life through, rather than seeing ourselves through life, better to see life as it is. What does it mean? If I die, if I get disease, if I become old, if I take birth, my existence does not define life. My existence does not define life, rather, life is perpetual. एक व्यक्ति, one person may die, but life does not die. Unfortunately, whether one is practicing materialism or spiritualism, the problem is it is seen from only one's own personal perspective. Personal perspective, personal anubhav, personal experience does not define life. Motherhood is eternal. Fatherhood is eternal. Kingship is eternal. Right? Name might change of the king. So therefore, when somebody focuses on the personal fleeting nature and compares that to the creation, that is the first mistake one does in regards to becoming inactive in life. If that was the case, why Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita would tell Arjuna, Yada Yadai Dharmasya Glani? Whenever there is a decline in Dharma, I appear again and again and again in this world. Right? So therefore, having faith in life, if I have faith in life, and with that, when the faith in God comes, they are harmonized. Right? The first principle is faith in life. Therefore, Krishna repeatedly, when Arjuna saw the battlefield, he saw his relatives. What happened to him? By seeing his relative, he developed profound detachment. He saw suffering. He saw pain. He saw death of his own people. It was very clear. He had fought many battles, but today on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, when he saw Bhishma, Drona, Kripacharya, and then extended that emotion to all others, he developed such a detachment from everything. And this detachment, in one sense, good. That shows he's a very compassionate person. But from another perspective, it is most dangerous, because that is giving rise to Arjuna's dead consciousness. Kuch nahi karna hai. I don't want to do anything. He was willing to put down his very Gandiva bow and say, Krishna, I will not fight. Right? So this kind of precarious condition, this kind of life withdrawing is a natural quality of a living entity in a conditional stage. Or even if is not conditional, Arjuna is not conditional, not a conditional soul, but still the time factor is powerful. Srila Prabhupada explains that the material nature puts the living entity in a precarious condition where the jiva is bewildered in regards to what to do. And when he is supposed to decide what to do, generally the jiva chooses to be inactive in the name of Adhyatma. He tries to do as less as possible, as minimal as possible. And unfortunately, many poetic spiritualists, not realists, what do? They suggest such detachment. Yes, this is the right time for you to detach. But what did Krishna ask Arjuna? Krishna asked Arjuna, Klaibyam asmagamam partham. Arjuna, where did you get such kind of consciousness? It does not befit a person who is supposed to perform his duties, action. And then Krishna spoke the entire Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna. Right? So, therefore, the purpose of Bhagavad Gita, as I said, giving back trust in life. If Arjuna did not trust in life, he would give up everything and go and live in the forest trying to beg and survive. But begging for Arjuna is unsustainable, very unsustainable. And we see that when someone does not have their identity, if they have a satisfied identity, then it is much easier to practice the sustainable spirituality. I remember talking to one person, very sweet, right? Very nice person practicing spirituality, but he was not finding his identity in regards to his profession. Because he was not able to find his identity in his profession, even though he was very enthusiastic superficially, everybody liked him, but he himself was not liking himself. Because I did not do. I remember talking to one elderly person, more than 75-year-old. She said that, you know what, I always wanted to learn Sangeet. I was studying Karnataka Sangeet, but once I got married, my husband did not encourage me. At the age of 75, she was identifying some part of herself with music, Sangeet, that was not encouraged to her. It was coming back to her. Will it cause trouble for her perfection? Will it stop her from achieving mukti, perfection? The very fact is that she is able to express this holding, which was the desire when she was 20, 30-year old. If she is able to express that, that shows that something was not doubted. So that is what does it do? It basically comes out. Therefore, having faith in life gives rise to natural faith in God, because it is a sustainable thing. In the Bhagavad Gita, third chapter, therefore, what does Krishna do? Krishna tells, my dear Arjun, that Shreyam Swadharma Viguna, Paro Dharma Bhayava. Now, this verse is quoted twice in the Bhagavad Gita, just like Manmana Bhavat Bhakto. And to such an extent, Krishna is emphasizing, Arjun, if you do not perform your activities, your duty according to your propensity, and try to do somebody else's job. Arjuna was trying to be a beggar like a bhikshu. But it was not sustainable for him because he's not made for it. Emergency is okay. But as long as he's going to live, if he starts doing that, it will not be sustainable, and he's proved it. Somebody goes to beg as a Kshatriya, he's supposed to fight, but he goes for begging in the name of minimizing his needs. What will happen? There, if somebody insults him from giving alms, he will react, he'll be upset, he'll be angry. Right, we see in the Bhagavad, Dhruva Maharaj, can you imagine Dhruva Maharaj's background? And who was preaching to Dhruva Maharaj? Narad Muni. And Narad Muni gave him the milk, the Paramhamsa reality. Are, you should not take this very seriously. It's okay that your stepmother treated you like this. Your father did not stand for you. So it's forget, he gave him the higher levels of spirituality. Dhruva Maharaj was very authentic. He was not insincere. He was very authentic in expressing his limitation to Narad Muni. He said, "Hey, great saint, I agree what you say, but at this stage, I cannot implement in my life because I want to achieve something as a Kshatriya much greater than my great grandfather also." Do you think Narad Muni was upset with Dhruva Maharaj? No. He comes back to Dhruva Maharaj's father Uttanapad and he says, "Aho teja kshatriyana manabhanga vimarshanam." Hey, Dhruva Maharaj's greatness is that he cannot tolerate little infringement in his existence. Aho teja kshatriyanam. See the greatness of the kshatriya. He is worshipping naturally, but at the same time, he is looking for standing, doubting his propensity. Right. So that's an important principle, and nobody can avoid. It is not possible for anyone to avoid because it is not recommended by the nature. However much you try, in whoever's name you would try to do that, because Prakriti is extremely neutral to your position. Prakriti is neutral to your intention. Prakriti is neutral to your sincerity. Prakriti is neutral to your position as a devotee, non-devotee, doesn't matter to Prakriti. And that's what Krishna is telling Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita. Hey Arjun, what can regression accomplish? It is not possible. Therefore, doubtle your propensity in such a way that will benefit you and that will add value to others. Therefore, life is always connected to having Shraddha, the positive Shraddha towards life. That is the first principle. The second principle of life is endeavor, Purushartha. One of the greatest myth amongst the practitioner, and unfortunately it is coming from the Abrahamic faith. What is it? That God will care for us. He will do everything for us. You have to do earnest prayers. By prayers, you can experience miracle. Right? The statement is that if you have the faith, you can move the mountain. But from Bhagavad Gita's perspective, we are the student of Bhagavad Gita. What does Bhagavad Gita say? Bhagavad Gita says that there are 5 causes for success. Just superficially saying that I trust God, He will do everything for me, it is not Sharanagati, it is basically burdening God and becoming lazy of oneself. Because the Prakriti again does not prove this reality. Pandavas prepared, Pandavas worked very hard. In the 18th chapter, when Krishna says there are 5 causes for success, he is going beyond Bhagavad Gita and quoting Vedanta also. Panchetani Mahabhavu Karanani Nibodame, 18.14. If you
Govind Prabhuji, we can't hear you. Are you there? We can't hear you. We can't see you. It's been close to 2 or 3 minutes.
Okay,
Yes.
are you able to hear?
Yes,
Yes.
yes, we can hear you now, Prabhuji. Yes.
Yeah, sorry, there was some camera was lost. Okay, so I was saying Bhagavad Gita focuses on, what does it focuses on? It focuses on basically the combination of endeavor and daiva. The ordinary superficial person who has no understanding of spirituality, he feels that, oh, they are only focusing on chanting or doing some rituals. No evolved spiritualist will be illogical like that. He will harmonize his smaran and his prayas. Therefore, in the Gita, we are talking about Purushartha. What does it say? Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu mam anusmara yuddha cha. There is a yuddha means Purushartha, endeavor, and smaran means remembering God. Both are harmonized, and therefore in the Bhagavad Gita, no other, no other book other than the Sanatan Dharma will give this understanding to you. What is that understanding? Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, very profound. He says, I am the ability in man. Man means woman also here, right? That I am the Shabdake Paurusha Nrishu. That means when somebody is exhibiting certain talent, certain potential, certain great activity, it is not to be seen as an obstacle. Rather, it is the energy of God. In fact, for the Vaishnavas, it is nothing but a representation of Krishna. Somebody sings nicely, somebody plays nicely, somebody, is extremely good in his presentation. What is it? It is a representation of God. This is what Krishna is speaking. Therefore, Purushartha, right, like we always discuss this, that if you are playing a snake and ladder game, now snake and ladder game tells us about daiva. You can throw your dice. Throwing you cannot avoid. Unless you throw, you'll not get that number. But you cannot throw the dice thinking that by praying my dice number will change. Try it. You can get a most advanced pure devotee and an ordinary child, let them play together. Can he change the course of that game? Is it possible to change? In the Mahabharata, Krishna doesn't do that. He doesn't allow the Pandavas to, imagine those kind of stuff. It is not allowed, it is not possible. As I said, Prakriti is neutral. Right. So therefore, the harmony between action and dependence is the beautiful principle. Therefore, trust in life, endeavor, judicious endeavor, proper endeavor. If you want to be a doctor, is it possible by simply prayer it will happen? No. And therefore, it gives rise to an important discussion in the Bhagavad Gita. Everyone knows Sarva Dharman Parityajya Mamekam Sharanam Vraja. Aham Tvam Sarvapebhyo Mokshayashami Masucha. Abandon all varieties of Dharma, Arjun. Just surrender unto me. So, what is the understanding of this verse? Many times, the understanding of this verse is that I don't need to do anything. Krishna will do everything for me. Right? Sometime when you don't have any explanation about how you're planning to raise this money, how you're planning to take this uh, situation. So what do we say? Arey, just trust in Krishna, he will take care. Now, this is one of the sincere understanding of trusting Krishna, but there is a problem in this understanding. Why there is a problem in this understanding? Because that very Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, you open the 5th chapter, 17th verse, what does he say? Nahi kaschit kshanam api, no, he says, nadatte kassachit papam, nadatte sukritim vibhu. Jnanena avritam ajnanam tena muyante jantava. Now, this could cause some shock wave to people, but it is there in the Bhagavad Gita. What does Krishna say? I do not take anybody's evil activities, neither their pious activities. I will not take their virtuous or impious activities. Why the living entity is suffering? The living entity is suffering because it is controlled by agyan. His jnana is controlled by agyan, therefore he is bewildered. This Sunday, this coming Sunday, one of our very good Ayurvedic Acharya is also great student of Bhagavad Gita. There is a very good topic, the topic on rog, abhishap ya agyan. Why do I suffer? Because of my karma, शाप के कारण या मेरे अज्ञान के कारण. I'll give another example on this. Right? In the human existence, there is a science of Ayurveda coming from the Vedas. So in that Vedas, Ayurveda, it talks about conception. It talks about the process of bringing healthy child, choosing what kind of child you want. These processes are given. Certainly, the modern world, in India also, trying to choose a gender is a crime for the right reason, because the people went crazy about having only boy child to extent where they would kill the baby girl in the womb or outside. That was very bad, without even putting proper procedure for that. So Ayurveda gives the complete process of a woman, a wife and a husband, how they should go through that. Imagine if they do not go through that whole procedure, they just go through the action of procreation, and they were praying, I need a boy or I need a girl, and otherwise comes, we say it was Krishna's will. Of course it is Krishna's will, no doubt, ultimately. But you have not followed the will of Krishna through his knowledge. If you have not followed his knowledge and you call it as Krishna's will, is it Krishna's will, or is it that I did not follow the procedure properly? Another example of a farmer, right? If you go and talk to 80, 90-year-old farmers, they would speak the language of Panchanga. Are today is the Mula Nakshatra, today is the Chitra Nakshatra, therefore we need to do this. So there is the Pushya Nakshatra, best time to harvest, right? So based upon Nakshatra, based upon seeing the sky, at least for advanced 3-4 months, the natural data science would allow them 80% probability of being correct in regards to what kind of rains they would get. And accordingly, they would sow the seed. Right? And 80% of the time they would be successful in guessing rightly. And of course, there would be certain sudden situations where you had not predicted about it, the problem would happen. Then calling it can be will of God. That's a different thing. But you don't try anything. Rather than saying will of God, we are consciously, unconsciously blaming Krishna for giving something what we don't want and forcing ourselves with the wrong understanding but the good sincerity. What can be done? ये तो कृष्ण की इच्छा है. Please understand, the Gita being the essence of the Upanishad, Gita, following in the teachings of Vedas, want us to live as comfortable as possible, want us to live as stable as possible. And therefore, this two 5.17 and 18.66, they have to be integrated in regards to not having a misunderstanding about what is Sharanagati. Right? If you focus only on 5.17, then you'll say, what is the point of God in my life? If you focus only on 18.66, what is the point of your endeavor? 0.66 without 5.17 can make you lazy and wrongly burdening God, not taking Sharanagati of God. But if you harmonize between the two, 5.17 and 18.66, what does it do? It makes you like Arjuna, it makes you like Draupadi, it makes you like Gopis, it makes you like the Pandavas. What is it? They do not change their position. The Gopis did not become Brahmanas. The Brahmana Patnis did not become Gurus. Arjuna did not elevate himself and try to do somebody else's job. You do not find any character in any of the scripture, for that matter Mahabharata, Ramayana and Bhagavad, by surrendering to Krishna, they did not minimize their proper duties which was assigned to them. They continued to perform their duties. And while performing their duties, whatever limitation came, Sharanagati is not minimizing the action. Sharanagati is handling the consequences of the action. क्रिया में परिवर्तन नहीं होगा, क्रिया कम नहीं होगा, but the response to kriya, that is what defines what kind of Sharanagata you are. It is not expecting miracle, hoping that this could have never existed only in my life. No, it is existing. It is not going to change. Right? Unfortunately, if you have not studied and you appear for the examination, you go to the temple praying, it is natural, better to go to the temple. You don't go to the temple hoping. Generally, we do that. You go hoping that some miracle should happen, then I should pass. Right? But generally, what happens if you have not studied, if you only tried for 20% of your exam paper out of 100, you might get 18. You will not get 98. It doesn't matter you do yajna also. It is not possible because mathematically it is not possible. Then the question is raised, but there are so many miracles. Miracles are exception. They are not law of life. Prabhupada gave the example of Rabindranath Tagore getting PhD. He said, but that is not a process. That is an exception. Therefore, the Sharanagati of Arjuna is not about giving up his duty and hoping Krishna will change everything for him. No. Sharanagati of Arjuna having the capacity to handle the consequences of the result. That is very important to understand. And therefore, what does it do? It gives rise to a profound harmony between action, consequences, taking responsibility, empowering oneself. Sometimes what happens, when you are going through some suffering, it is easier to say, maybe it's my karma. Somebody else will come and tell it's karma only. When you see from the general principle, it could be karma. But if you go a little deeper, right, if you go deeper, then you realize more than it is karma, it is your wrong decisions which caused you to do. गलत समय पे खाया, गलत समय पे सोया, right? So what does the body do? Body does not care for your prayers. Body simply responds to your action. As I said, Prakriti is so brutally neutral, she doesn't care your intention. How do you know? You put your hand in the fire accidentally, it will burn. You put your hand in the fire consciously, it will burn. You put your hand in the fire for doing yajna, and if you are not conscious, it will burn. You put your fire while cooking, whether it is abhaksha bhakshan, whether you are cooking for meat, and if you put your hand wrongly in the fire, it will burn, or you are cooking sattvic food, but if you are negligent of your fire, it will burn also. तो अग्नि ये नहीं देखता कि तुम किसके लिए बना रहे हो, अग्नि ये देखता है कि your hand has come closer to me, I will burn you. It doesn't matter who you are. But then what is the point of surrender? The point of surrender is not to make you perfect in executing your duty. The point of surrender is knowing very well there will be flaws. And Krishna says that in the Bhagavad Gita, 3rd chapter. Even though there are many faults in performing of your duties, just like there is a smoke in the fire. What a profound example Krishna is giving. Nobody can claim that my fire doesn't have any smoke. If there is no smoke, there is a smell. Right? When you have a gas, there may not be a smoke. There is a smell. So it is not pure fire. So Krishna is saying, just like there is a smoke in the fire, therefore there are limitations while performing activities. Perfection is not guaranteed, but journey towards perfection is guaranteed. Therefore Krishna says, that's okay. No, it's not a problem. So what does Sharanagati do? Sharanagati gives us the capacity to handle the consequences of our action, but Sharanagati does not change the action itself. मैं केवल 1 घंटे में ये काम करूंगा, अगर उसके लिए 4 घंटा लगेगा, like the Kapis, they were supposed to jump 100 yojanas. Right? Jambavan was a great devotee. Right? He was there during the time of Samudra Manthan. He was there during the time of when Vamandev expanded himself so tall and so long. He did a circumambulation of Lord Vamandev Trivikram. But that same Jambavan was not able to jump across the ocean, 100 yojana. Your sincerity does not increase your capacity. Your sincerity can help you endeavor to increase your capacity. Because you are sincere. Right? You endeavor, then you increase your capacity. If you are very sincere, but you have never run the marathon, you want to raise funds for, Akshay Patra, Annamrit, or Akshay Patra, either one. If you are running, thinking that I will run, but if you never run, within no time you will be exhausted. The sincerity does not increase your capacity. उसके लिए अलग प्रयास लगेगा. So therefore this combination, नादत्ते कस्यचित् पापम, and the Sharanagati helps you to handle the result and increase your profound disposition. Therefore endeavor is so important. One very nice devotee friend was saying, when you are fighting for dharma, you should believe that even God is not with you. I need to fight myself. It is kind of an ahangrupasana. कि अगर मैं नहीं करूंगा तो कुछ नहीं होगा. Somebody asked this question, what is happening in Bangladesh? Why Krishna is not protecting the devotees? What a redundant question. Right? That sounds so stupid. Because I built the temple, I want to cook for the Lord, I went to Jaipur, I brought the deities, I stitched the cloth, I called the missionaries to work, right? I raised the fund, I means all of us. But when it comes to protection of the deities, we are hoping he should come. Where is the logic? There is no logic only. आपको अपने क्षमता को बढ़ाना है. You have to increase your capacity to protect yourself. If you increase the capacity to protect yourself, you prove your point, you prove your capacity, then the support of Krishna comes. But rather than asking this question, why is he not coming? He is saying, you are not understanding my Bhagavad Gita. If you understand my Bhagavad Gita, then I will come to you. Without understanding Bhagavad Gita, you are hoping that he will come and protect. He will, many people ask this question, how the Islamic invasion happened. They broke so many temples. Why did not God protect? What a stupid question. What a redundant question. It is not at all anywhere close to the teachings of Bhagavad Gita. Therefore, जीवन के प्रति श्रद्धा and purusha prayatna with proper understanding of Sharanagati is the sustainable spirituality. And the last part is Loka Sneha. Right? Only because there is a cooperation. The third chapter is all about cooperation. In the beginning of the creation, Krishna says, I forth all the living entities along with the yagya principle. And by performance of that yagya, the devatas will provide the necessities of life. It is more than worship of devatas, it is basically cooperation with the creation. When we cooperate with the creation, right, in that cooperation, you'll start experiencing divinity. Sometime some so-called spiritualists will say, they stay in Vrindavan, they go and beg, they get good prasad, they say Radharani is taking care of me. Certainly, Radharani is certainly taking care. But the point is, when you say Radharani is caring for me, the whole concept of servant of the servant is destroyed. Because Radharani is caring through some nice, kind-hearted people, rejecting their kindness and directly saying that she is caring for me, that shows there is a kind of arrogance. But if I know the philosophy properly, appreciate the contribution of that person who is providing because of his piety, because of his devotional attitude, we can only appreciate, we can only glorify the Shakti Tattva, Srimati Radharani Tattva through this small compassionate activities performed by such people. But neglecting their contribution. Therefore, what does Krishna say in the Bhagavad Gita? That even if you have no duties to perform, Arjuna, even if you are a self-realized person, one who is always enjoying within, who has nothing externally, he has no duties to perform, but still to set an example. He performs his duties. He takes responsibilities. He helps one grow. Right? So, Loka Sneha is one of the core character of the teachings of Bhagavad Gita. If it was not meant for the Loka Sangraha, Arjuna's fighting and not fighting would not matter, because he would fight because I am a Kshatriya. He would not fight because, I don't want to fight my relatives. तो यहाँ क्या होता था? Only about myself. Whether materialism or spirituality is centered around myself, it is still very tamogonic. It is not elevating. It is not appreciated by the philosophy of Sanatan Dharma, and therefore, however challenging it was for Arjuna to fight his own relatives, because it was his duty, because he was meant to do that, and moreover, it would benefit his surrounding. It would add value to his surrounding. And therefore, it is explained when Krishna gave Sudama Brahman amazing resources, right? He knew, if I give to Sudama alone and nobody around his village, what that would cause? That would cause a greater attention towards Sudama by people. Somebody said, when you skyrocket, when you go higher and higher, like an eagle beyond every other bird, that gives the attraction of the hunter. Hunter will shoot it. Again, that is the Prakriti. So similarly, if you are exhibiting your resources in a place where nobody has the resources, you become desensitized, you become arrogant, and others certainly become envious. So, what did Krishna do? He gave extra to Sudama, but the entire village around him became prosperous. Because unless there are people who are prosperity centric, large number of people have prosperity, only you are prosperous and others not prosperous, that doesn't fit into the teachings of Bhagavad Gita. Duryodhan was like that person who wanted only himself growing. Nobody should grow like I grow, but that is against the nature of Prakriti. Even if everybody is a materialistic, right? Prakriti, what does it do? She is socialist in regards to giving things to people. She is not specially inclined towards, I will give because you are a devotee, I will not give because you are not devotee. No. And when there is an imbalance in regards to resources, what does the people of that same Prakriti will do? The same Prakriti will become envious those who have more. It's very interesting when people go to UK and America, Indians go, people from their families were freedom fighter, they had a lot of anger, they go there. All the left people, all the radical people who hate America and UK, if they get a green card, if they get the opportunity to go there, they will go. They will settle there. They will criticize, but I will criticize from the place where I get the resources. Right? So there is some kind of, whether it is real or artificial, it's a land of opportunity. And people want to go there. Even those who are hardcore, nationalist, dharmic people, they want to go. Why? Because they feel that it gives a better facility for everybody. Of course, America is screwing up now. You know, they wanted to be left liberal, radical, becoming socialist, that somebody earns and somebody else gives taxes, 70% taxes they wanted to increase. So fortunately, that socialist idea has broken down. And what idea Krishna is teaching? He says cooperation. What is cooperation means? I will have more than others because I work very hard. But still I want to give to others to raise their platform. Prabhupada explains about one person in Kolkata. He had many friends, and many of his friends were very poor. He realized if I want to have them as my friend, I have to increase their value also. So it helped them to grow nicely. Rather than allowing them to be envious or squandering him, he increased their status in such a way, he empowered them. Right? This is the beauty of Bhagavad Gita, and therefore Gita is not life, it is not beyond life, it is life centric, and within that life only, because it is connected to the principle of Sharanagati also, the Sharanagati as we discussed. So what does it do? Within the life itself, you will start experiencing mukti, and when you are experiencing mukti in this very lifetime, for him, mukti becomes natural beyond this life. Thank you. Any questions or any comments?
Thank you very much, Prabhuji, for this very commonsensical perspective of the Bhagavad Gita. So we request you to please post your question in the chat box, or you could raise your hand and we'll invite you to ask your question. And meanwhile, Prabhuji, you said have trust in life, and you gave an example of a lady who wanted to, I think, learn singing. So how practicing or following your passion helps you build trust in life?
The last part, what he said?
How practicing what you love helps you build trust in life?
Because you see, when you do something tangible, like again, one of the simple example is somebody, has the problem of rising early. They make a resolution from next year, I'm going to get up at 6 o'clock, but they have a habit of getting up at 10 o'clock. So what happens? They try for 2 days, they try for 3 days, then they again break down, because if it's impossible, I can't do that, I'm useless fellow. Because their gap between 6 o'clock and 10 o'clock is very big. But if they start experiencing success, right, what does it do? It gives faith in life. Oh, I can also do it. Oh, I can also do it. A sub person who is always failure, he will never have a trust in life. So life wants you to be successful, and then you'll have a trust in life. Therefore, the second principle of purushartha came, and the third principle of lokasneha helps you help. Sudama helped others to grow also. That friend helped others to grow also. So when you empower others, it gives rise to purushartha. When you are doing purushartha, you start experiencing success, and because of that success, you start having faith in life. Life is meaningful, life makes sense, life is worth living. Do you get that point? So therefore these three principles are extremely um, um, good.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Prabhuji. So we request you to raise your hand on Zoom in
Or
case.
you can read the questions, they are there in the, can you read them?
Oh, actually, I'm not able to see the questions, Prabhuji. Can you?
Okay. So I can read one question. Um, the question is,
Yeah, I think I can read the questions now.
you're
Yeah.
able to read?
Yes. Just give me a minute, second.
Yeah.
So there are quite a-
Understand your point of not approaching Krishna and expecting Krishna to carry out what we should be achieved from our endeavor. However, is it legitimate to approach Krishna when we seek clarity as to what our kartavya is? Isn't this Srila Prabhupada and Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur spent many years absorbing in bhajan, seeking guidance as to where to apply their efforts? So this point is, again, we are talking about those who completely gave up all connection to this world, sannyasa dharma, right? So sannyas dharma and bhajan sustains your spirituality. It was connected to purely presenting the philosophy of Shravan Kirtan Vishnu Smaranam. But someone who is not on that level, and he understand that I am not level, so they need Varna Dharma, Bhagavad Gita. We are talking about Bhagavad Gita. So certainly when you are performing your duty, again Krishna has given you Bhagavad Gita, Krishna has given you Ayurveda, Krishna has given you Jyotish Shastra, Krishna has given you teachers. Along with that, when you go to seek guidance from the Lord, then he can speak from your heart. But if you cancel all of these people and directly say, I'm going to sit and do my determined bhajan, it may become unsustainable again. After doing all that, you'll be frustrated, Arey, why I did so much and is not able to. So therefore, balance between, Panchaitani Mahabhavu Karanani Nibodhame, the four principle and the fifth Daiva. When it is balanced properly, then slowly clarity will come upon you and you can grow nicely.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, there's a question. Do you think institutionalizing of religion has influence on religious doctrines with respect to the common misconceptions prevalent in spiritual communities, as you explained?
See, the point is, institutionalization. The purpose of institution, as Prabhupada mentioned, is to empower for the living, and it is to experience. Even I remember originally, if you read in the Chaitanya Charitamrita also, the purpose of Bhayatkari, Bhaya Guru, external Guru, is to connect you to Paramatma, because you will not have the association of Guru all the time. To connect. The process of connecting you to Paramatma is through again the whole concept of learning, understanding yourself, discovering yourself, having a teacher in your life, learning from them, and slowly as your maturity increases, then you are deeply connected to the inner guru who is Paramatma. But that does not happen abruptly, it does not happen immediately. When you read Bhagavad Gita, I remember when I started reading, it was so difficult. The word karma, nishkam karma, akarma, sakarma. It was like studying something, what is a PhD subject. So what happened? Slowly, like a test match. Right, you slowly start learning, and then you learn more and more, then you learn more and more, then you learn more and more, then you realize as much as you go deeper, that much you realize along with Paramatma, I need the community of people. you know at no point of time you become so conscious of your own self that you say, Arey, I don't need anybody's support. Kabhi nahi hoga. If you get a diarrhea, forget about anything else. If you have a loose motion, if you break your bone, you can't say, I'll manage myself. No, for that physical ailment, you need doctor, you need nurse, you need support system. So Prakriti is designed at all stages of life for you to be looking for that support system. Right? So therefore, institutions are required. But the purpose of institution is not to be binding you, making you a slave, making you dull, making you, radical, but making you evolved and educated.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Prabhuji. How can I practice lok sneh and avoid being arrogant?
Again, sometimes people feel that if I become charitable, I'll become arrogant. Again, if you read Bhagavad Gita, it is not possible only. Because when you actually do something good to the society, then you realize how limited resources you have. And then what does it do? It gives rise to taking natural shelter of Sharanagati. The true Sharanagati can only happen when there is 100% human endeavor. If not 100%, larger amount of human endeavor tells you how limited you are. It is an experiential reality, not simply verbal reality. So therefore, however much you do, it is less only. Therefore, when you do Swadharma and Loka Sangraha, there is no question of being arrogant, because you realize, yeah, I'm not doing because I'm doing good to others. I'm doing this because I need to do it. Therefore, Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, so beautiful, when he says that 4 kinds of people, Artho, Artharthi, Jnani, Jigyasu, they all take my shelter. And the next verse, Krishna says, Udara sarva evahi. Rather than calling himself Udara, means magnanimous, he is calling those who take his shelter as magnanimous. Does it make sense? It doesn't make sense. But it makes sense when you realize this kind of people, when they come to Krishna and is able to do good to them, so Krishna is thinking, you are engaging me to fulfill my swadharma of being magnanimous. If you are not there around me, then I would be drifting away from my swadharma. ये कॉन्सेप्ट गीता में भगवान ने बताया अर्जुन को. So therefore there is no, therefore if somebody is becoming arrogant because they're doing something good, they have a screwed up understanding completely. That's a philosophy. Therefore Darshana Shastra, the Siddhanta, is like a talwar. It can never make you, even if you are like sometime, the intoxication of success can do like that, but it is short lived. It is losing your form. But the real form is that मैं किया, ये हो गया, ये कितना कम है, because there is limitless things to do. We'll take one or two more questions.
Yeah, so Prabhuji, what is the role of bhakti in the Gita?
Bhakti in the role of Gita, that's what I said. Sarva dharman parityaja mamekam sharanam vraja is a disposition of the heart, and endeavor is the disposition of the senses. इंद्रियों के द्वारा, यही मेरा प्रश्न है. आई एम आस्किंग whoever asked that question, what is their understanding of bhakti? That I completely depend. What do you mean by depending on Krishna? That you don't do anything. You don't raise your child, you don't raise your money, you don't do your job, you don't do anything but bhakti. That is not bhakti, that is stupidity.
So,
Right? Bhakti is a component, it's a disposition of the heart. Somebody said, ज्ञान यानी कि बुद्धि का उपयोग, कर्म यानी कि इंद्रियों का उपयोग, right? Bhakti यानी कि is the उपयोग of the heart. When your heart is filled with love, even though you are doing karma yoga, when your heart is filled with affection to Krishna, even though you are learning, what does it do? That affectionate heart, it has the power to spread on jnana also, it spread on karma also. Then your entire action is no more karma yoga. In feeling wise, it all becomes bhakti. But the technically, indriyon ka, whenever senses are involved for the right thing, centered around yoga, that is called as karma yoga. What we are doing now, I am speaking, you are listening. So there is a karma because action is there. Because what are we learning? We are learning Gita. There is a jnana. So jnana yoga is also there. But because we are also practicing, we are trying to be a Vaishnava, we want to develop affection, there is also some affection for Krishna, that is bhakti. That is the overflowing of affection. Then what happens? Everything is saturated by bhakti from the perspective of feeling. But technically, again, one more example I give. You drink water. Drinking water is action. Drinking water with understanding. आयुर्वेद में क्या लिखा है, योग में क्या लिखा है. So that understanding is jnana yoga. And drinking with that understanding is a combination of jnana and karma. Then there is one more understanding. Oh, water is the taste of, I'm the taste in the water. You remember, kritajnata, I'm grateful. God has given me this water. तो पानी पी रहे हो, वो कर्म हो गया. कैसे पीना चाहिए, वो ज्ञान हो गया. भावना के साथ पीना, कृतज्ञता का, वो भक्ति हो गया. So where is the question of anybody avoiding any of the process of yoga while functioning in this world? Therefore, the role of bhakti is from the heart. Bhakti a heart का domain है. तो अर्जुन is a kshatriya. Arjun is from the royal family. Arjun had studied the Vedas and he was also a devotee of Krishna. Right? Somebody declares as a devotee, openly, they are more focused on that. And others may not, they may be more connected to jnana, but without feeling, it is impossible to function in this world. So some aspect of bhakti has to be there in everybody's life. That cannot be avoided. So that is the role of Bhagavad Gita in Bhagavad Gita.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Can we take one last question?
Yeah.
So, Prabhuji, how do we sustain our culture, our traditions? Will you please suggest what we could do possibly to sustain our culture?
Yeah. So therefore there is Varna Dharma. There is a transcendence and there is also Varna Dharma is connected to life, profession, right? And cooperation, how does cooperation happen? When all of these people are interacting to enhance the society. And the society cannot enhance unless there is a resistance to nonsense. right? When we saw, whenever there is a woke culture, radical left culture, liberal culture, radical feminism, radical toxic masculinity, right? Of course, now the radical feminism, they call everything as a toxic masculinity, right? Communism, right? The radical jihadis, what are they? They are disturbance to the society. And if you do not have a strategy, just like the Pandavas had a strategy, every day they did not say Krishna is there, why the hell we should have a proper phalanx. They did vyuha rachana every day. They would get that information that Kauravas has performed this vyuha, then we have to do that vyuha. Why they did not sit and say, I just trust Krishna, I will do everything? Why the gopis did not stay with Krishna back in Ras Lila, why they came back home? Why the Brahman Patnis did not stay with Krishna, Krishna sent them back to their place. So strategy is twofold, tantra and bhava. भाव पे भरोसा होना चाहिए कि भगवान will take care, Krishna will take care, but you can only say that, again as I go back, if you do not have the strategy, only prayers, you will not exist as a community. Duryodhan was destroying the Pandavas by all means. Pandavas did not only sit and dependent on a superficially on Krishna. They did everything under their disposition to save themselves, to protect themselves, to grow by support of Daumya Rishi. Went to the Devatas. The best example I give you, I'll conclude with this. After the Yaksha Prashna, where Yudhishthira Maharaj answered all the question to his father who disguised as Yaksha, this is just before their Agyatavas, 1 year incognito. And what was the rule? If they are exposed within 1 year, they will have to go back again for 12 years of Vanavas and 1 year Agyatavas. You see, they wanted to create a perpetual cycle. Yamaraj appears to Yudhishthira Maharaj, and you know what he says? Yamaraj, he's a Nyaya Devata. He's a representation of Lord Vishnu. He said, my dear Pandavas, even if you walk exposing yourself everywhere, just like this, if you go also, nobody will recognize. That was the benediction he gave. But do you think Pandavas did that? No, they did their duty. They disguised themselves. Yudhishthira became Kanka. Arjun became Brahannela. Bhima became, the cook. And both brothers, Tantipal and Draupadi became Sairendri. One may say they didn't have faith in Yamaraj's words. They had faith in Yamaraj's word, but they also had faith in the words of Prakriti, कि मुझे मेरा भी काम करना चाहिए. Some astrologer says, I guarantee you that nothing will happen to you for next 100 years. Nothing will happen. And because you trust that and you have experienced that, you're drunk and you're driving on the other side of the road, closing your eyes and hoping nothing will happen to you, you are creating a new karma. So therefore, our Shastra, our philosophy is very profound and wholesome. Trust and endeavor. So similarly, certainly, Satyameva hi jayate, Dharmameva hi jayate, Sanatan Dharma cannot be destroyed. But the problem is, you will be destroyed, Dharma will not be destroyed, your Dharma will be destroyed. Therefore, millions of people got converted in India. And they became go mass eaters. Right? गाय को प्रेम करने वाले गाय को खाने लगे. तो क्यों हो गया ऐसा? Somewhere their endeavor was less. Somewhere those who were supposed to support them, help them, their endeavor was less. Sometimes they were neglected by others. They're forced to lose their identity. तो इसलिए मैथमेटिक है ये. सनातन धर्म नष्ट नहीं होगा. परंतु if you don't have a strategy, then my dharma will be destroyed. That is a very interesting principle to understand. Therefore, jahan prayas, again Prakriti is very neutral in this regard. The great Bhishma Dev, one of the Mahajanas, was asked by Draupadi, hey my dear Tat, Pitamaha, Dharma kaha hai? Where is Dharma? What was her answer? He didn't say, oh, because you are a devotee of Krishna, nothing will happen to you. Bhishma the answer. The Mahajan, he was always Mahajan. He says, my dear Draupadi, Dharma will always be under those people, those who have power. They will define what is Dharma. And unfortunately, now Duryodhan, Dushasan, Shakuni, and Karna are defining what is Dharma. And he cries. ये मैं नहीं बोल रहा हूं, ये भीष्म देव बोल रहे हैं. और ये कितना लॉजिकल है, राइट? ये कितना लॉजिकल है. So therefore, Kshatriya Tej, resources collecting, developing your Sangha Shakti Kalav Yuge, उसको बढ़ाने से, रेजिस्टेंस बढ़ने से अपने आप अहिंसा का पालन हो जाता है. Very simple in this. And we saw what happened in the election in Maharashtra. Right? There was polarization, appeasement for the wrong reason, causing them only harm. Right? Never empowering them, the minority communities, pampering them. When you pamper somebody, they don't grow in life. Victim card and pampering will destroy people. तो क्या हो गया? सब लोग साथ में आ गए, वार करे. Everybody came together and they created the result. So therefore, जहां प्रवास और प्रयत्न है, वहां निश्चित रूप से रिजल्ट है. And imagine along with that, you have trust in Krishna. You have the power to handle the disposition. So therefore, Gita is such a profound literature. It is not like a Bible, because in Bible there is an overemphasis on Shraddha. Unfortunately, many times our people, I sometimes feel, we are Christianizing our Bhagavad Gita rather than Gitaizing the Bible. We don't want to destroy the Bible. We have to Gitaize the Bible. Harmonizing between मेरा प्रयत्न और भगवान की कृपा, यशोदा लीला. Tying Krishna not possible and Krishna allowing himself. 2 feet too short, endeavor and grace. अगर भागवत पढ़ो, रामायण पढ़ो, गीता पढ़ो, प्रकृति को देखो, हर जगह से ये दो harmony is there. Therefore, Gita is sensitive to the laws of life, laws of Prakriti. It is eternal reality, whether Satya, Treta, Dwapar, Kali, doesn't matter. The rule remains the same. So therefore, let us understand this and study Bhagavad Gita, give the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita to others, so that they are not blind religious, but they are Purushartha Pradhan Samaj, knowing very well in my endeavor, Krishna is there. Thank you very much for your kind attention.